back to International Being You Day. We're so grateful to have you here with us celebrating this day, our third annual International Being You Day. For this chapter, Wands Out, You Are Magic, I am joined by Brett, Marie-Sandrine, and Mr. John Ashford. Thank you guys so much for being here. And I'm so excited to have the three of you on talking about magic. One of the quotes in the book that I wanted to start off with is, one of the things that keeps you away from magic is your refusal to believe that it exists. And I just want to know, when did you guys start believing in magic? And I'm going to toss this one to you, Brett, because you are one of the magicians behind the scenes of this day. And I've watched you create over and over and over again things that the world says are not possible. And you're like, oh yeah, we could do that. But a lot of us won't see that as magic because it's not pulling a rabbit out of a hat. So can you talk a little bit about what is magic? And when did you start believing again in magic? And maybe you never gave it up. I don't want to assume.
Thank you for that question. I love that question because I was reading this chapter earlier and I pretty much put a thing right in the same spot that you just read, like the same little quote. And I was like, oh, that's a good one. But yeah, it's truly what you said, what it says there in the book. The only thing that keeps you from magic is your refusal to believe that it exists. And it's that easy because it's like kind of what Charlie Verge was saying earlier in the day. Oh, here's Kitty. Yay.
He's magic.
He is magic. He's coming to show you his magical tail.
Hi, Kitty.
Yeah, so basically the only thing that keeps us from being magical are all the things that we've decided about ourselves, decided about how things are going to turn out, our projections of things. Like I learned from using these tools of access, it's like in any situation, you can go about it in so many different ways. Even going to the grocery store, you can go, all right, I'm going to the grocery store. I'm going to get this thing and this thing and this thing. It's going to take an hour and it's going to be okay. I'm just going to get through it and I'm just going to drive there like this. And I'm going to drive home and then I'm going to make dinner and do all that stuff. That sounds like a lot of what our lives tend to be. But you can also, if you're willing to have a sense of curiosity for life and living and the magical way that you can be in the world and how the world can show up for you, you can go to the grocery store like, okay, how does it get any better than this? What else is possible? What am I going to come across that I've never thought before? And just from that willingness to have that curiosity, to be that question, to start expanding your own zone of what you've decided is possible, the universe starts giving you those things that you're curious about. Like, okay, what's beyond this? And the universe is like, dude, are you actually asking? It's like, yeah, I'm curious. What is it? What's possible? And he's like, and the universe is like, I'm pretty sure before you had like this conclusion here and like I couldn't give it to you. You're like, no, I'm done with that. I'm curious. What else is truly possible? It's like, okay, all right, fine. And then all these different things start showing up that open up your world in different ways that go beyond the humdrums. You can do anything. And if you do it from question and curiosity and going beyond what you've decided is possible, it's like so much. That's when the magic shows up, because the magic is what is. It's the stupid stuff that we do on a day-to-day basis to make ourselves feel like crap is the only thing that stops that magic.
And gosh, you put that in like so brilliantly, because the idea that what you just said is like, it's what we continue to put the crap over the magic, like with our limitations, with our definitions, all the things we've talked about today. And what you just showed me was like, even the things that I'm like buying into, how many things are we like buying into that are like the world tells us are not possible? Right. So it's like, it could be your, oh, that's not possible. But then there's also the thing where you go to like give an idea because you believe in a possibility and everybody's like, no. And you're like, okay, it must be no, rather than what else is possible. And that's truly the beauty of getting to create with these tools, and even the gift of access consciousness as an entity in a business that is worldwide, creating with magicians like the three of you, of people who are always willing to look for the possibility and not like settle for the conclusion or the no. So Brett, is there any more you want to add to that right now? Because I can feel you still buzzing a little bit. So did you have some more you wanted to toss in there?
I'm definitely buzzing. I just wanted to add, I'm so grateful to be on with you and John and Marie-Sandrine. You guys are all fantastic and so magical in such different and beautiful ways. And everyone who's been on here too, it's just been so fun listening to everyone and get to like have these different spaces and energies being presented by everyone. It's amazing what we all create together.
Truly is. Truly is. Thank you for saying that. Mr. John Ashford, welcome.
Thank you, sister.
So this book behind me, which I'm going to give another shout out, that's what we're talking about today. If you're just joining us, it's International Being You Day, inspired by Dr. Dane Heer's book, who I'm trying to get on the screen, Being You, Changing the World. Get your copy. Anyways, John, this book I know started you on your journey. And I got to meet you because you read this book and were lit up into new magical possibilities. And so I would love for you to take us a little bit on that journey for you when you found the book, and then what's next? What happened next?
Yeah. So I found the book. I listened to the book. I bought the book. I listened to the book on my commute into work, and shit just started to happen. The chapter they got to the money shit. I had a few money things that I've been working through, and that was the first. When Dane said, "Why don't you put some money away?" And I was like, "Oh, this is bullshit." So in a month's time, I had like $450 out of nowhere, where a person who didn't carry any money at all. And I was like, and I felt like me for the first fucking time. And so I was so excited. I felt like today, even today, for today, International Being You Day, I feel like Thumper from Bambi, the movie Bambi from Disney. I'm so excited. I'm like, let's do this. So what happened is that it sparked such a change in my life that I decided, and I want to tell something that happened this week. I decided that I was going to use this book with young people. I'm a probation officer, and I was going to use this book with these kids. And I started reading these fucking essays, and I was like, oh my God. They took the book, read it. We met about 8-10 times, and then they wrote an essay about it. And I was just like, because I knew that this book had a spark, and I wanted to see if it actually really was what I was thinking. And so that's how I got into the magic of this, because I just watch pages turn, and as people turn the page, they have lives turned, and it created other possibilities where they were doing shit that you wouldn't imagine kids that I would be working with would actually do after being on probation. So I just like it changed everything. It was just like it was a new way of being for me, and literally a new way of being. Get it? So I was being something different because my world lit up, and it created space for things to be different. And I remember the first time I was about to try it, I was like, I don't know. And I didn't tell anybody at my job that I was going to do it. I was like, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm just going to do it. And I'll get in trouble if I get in trouble afterwards. But after the essays started coming in and the kids stopped going to court, I was just like, yeah, this is the shit. And then recently, on top of that, was kind of interesting. I got a new supervisor. So now they're asking me to help train other people with using these tools from Being You. So this happened last week. So it took a couple of years, but what happened is that now Multnomah County is like looking at, hey, we've been watching this. We're interested in this. What can you do with some of the employees, and what could you do with some of the other kids that are coming in? And so I got really excited. So this is a total evolution for me. It's just like it continues to grow, where I was like, okay, I did this for a little bit. What else is possible with this? And the possibility is growing like tremendously. It's just crazy.
Well, getting to watch you thrive and go for what you know has truly been one of the greatest gifts of my life. And I am so grateful to know that you are out there contributing what you're contributing to the kids that truly need the tools and the gift you are to them. So thank you.
Thank you.
Marie-Sandrine, you have been facilitating Being You classes for quite some time. And I'd love to hear for you what the body of work. It's so Being You, Changing the World is not just a book. There's also classes that Dr. Dane Heer does There's also, or facilitates, and there's also Being You certified facilitators around the world, facilitating Being You classes. And so with the many years that you've been doing these classes, would you be willing to explore what a class is like and what you enjoy the most about watching people leap into being them?
Yes, so for me, this class is really different than the other one. We speak about magic, and magic is truly what we be. And this is what show up in this class is we forgot that. In a point in our life, we forgot about magic. We forgot about possibilities. We forgot about also joy, just to be joyful, just to play like kids. And what I can observe is like this light in eyes of people, like, wow, I know I can be that. I forgot in a point, and now I can choose it for new. So for me, this class is really the step to return to what you know is possible, and also the magic you know is possible. Like if you didn't listen at anyone and you follow what you know is possible, what you dream of is where you begin to create your life. And when guys spoke about this magic, is like magic, you can explain it. This is the thing. So we want to explain how things can show up. And in this class, when we acknowledge ourselves, it's like things show up without we have to think about it. So yes, it's truly big confidence. Active this magic with your joy. Just yes, to be happy, to do what you love to do, to choose to and acknowledge you have choice to do what you love to do, and it's with one step and another in different space of your life. When you begin to acknowledge that you have choice and you begin to change your life, that more and more magic show up. So in this class, what I can see is people acknowledge themselves, and in this acknowledgement they reactive their magic.
I love that put so brilliantly, because my next question was about the magic of acknowledgement and how we're so taught on, you know, whether it's with judgment or the autopilot that we just talked about in the last chapter, to don't self-acknowledge, like stay humble. And so, Brett, will you talk to me about what your journey or adventure with acknowledgement has been, and what is acknowledgement, and why should we choose it?
Yeah, I love that. That's so like on point. So how I came into Access and all sorts of crazy stuff was I had all these different, I was basically sick for about a year. I had developed all of these different chemical sensitivities, electromagnetic sensitivities. I was like doing like an hour of oxygen a day. I was like shut up in my room. And when I left, I had to wear a mask before it was cool. 10 years before it was cool. And so
I was late, but I got it.
yeah. So I like really wanted to do anything to change it. I was at the point where I went to all these different doctors. They were all saying I was going to have to learn how to live with this, and it wasn't possible to change. So I was like, okay, I hear this with a lot of people who come to Access, like, okay, I'm either going to change this or I'm done. Like I'm out. Goodbye. So I started finding all of these like healers and stuff. I'd never done any of that stuff before. And the first session I did with someone, I did this stuff like the tapping stuff. And what I learned from her is you can change anything. I was like, you can change anything? Dude, this is amazing. And I started going gung-ho, changing all sorts of stuff. And then Access came to me shortly after that, and it just like supercharged everything. And in Access, we talk about like what's true for you is light. Anything that's heavy is a lie. And so I started asking questions about things that were going on, what else is possible, etc. And the things that would be like really, really like out there, crazy, strange, but like made me laugh, like if I actually applied them to the situations in my life, they would change. So it's like the once I started being willing to delve into the magical, the crazy, the more out there stuff, things actually started shifting in my life. And I went all from that compass of what is light is actually true for you and what is heavy is a lie. And in this reality, most of the stuff that we're see on TV, see in movies, are told by our parents and society and our governments, etc., they're all really heavy. And like Dane talked about earlier in this day, we think we have to go in and like try to deal with or process or like the heavy stuff. But what if all that heavy stuff is just a lie? And when you actually acknowledge what's true for you and what's true for you as a being, everything lightens up and you begin to be able to live from this space of this happiness and this joy and whatever it is you'd like, no matter what anyone else is doing around you. Because all that heavy stuff people are doing around you, it's all the lies that they're living from that they're making more real than the magic and the joy and the possibilities that we all get to live when we're actually acknowledging who we are.
I love that. And every time magic shows up, if we like have a magic diary or journal, you know, like Dane suggests, it's a great place to not be like a great way to not be starting at zero all the time. You know, if we don't acknowledge it, it's like it doesn't exist, it didn't happen. But if we're willing to acknowledge it, whether we share it with others or we just keep it for ourselves, we can go back to it and go, oh, wait a minute, this showed up by my very ass. This showed up, but when I started to be me, this showed up when I, you know, asked for this to show up or asked a question for possibility. And we can't lie to ourselves anymore that that's not possible. John,
Yes.
you did a dangerous thing on this interview. You said magic and money in the same sentence.
Yes.
So, sir, I'm just wondering if you can shed a little light for those that
Well, yeah. So
those
here's the
don't
thing
go
about
together.
acknowledging how magic's been working for me lately, and I'm still learning it. I don't think you ever get there. I think it keeps on expanding. I'm beginning to realize when I fucking realize how goddamn magical I am, more money shows up. And every time it'll be like it'll be a whisper, and it'll be like, "Did you see that?" And I'm like, "No." I say, and then when I say yes, I see it. Some more magic shows up, and things fucking change. So the whole concept of even this week for me, I was like, I was worried about this one class that I was going to have next week, and then all of a sudden, all these clients showed up, and I was like, "Wait a second, I'm making more money than I thought I was going to do this." And it's just like you acknowledge it, and it's like an air balloon, and all of a sudden, before you know it, you're like 10 billion feet off of the earth, and and it's just expanding and expanding and expanding, and it's that magical energy. And as the song says, you feel good, you feel like, ooh, you get this like urge to like be something different with this magic and money. And for me, it's really it's the whisper of the subtle magic that changes everything. But you have to be willing to say, I saw it, or I hear it, or I feel it, or I taste it. Any of the senses, but it's always present. And sometimes it does a dance with you. And so it steps back, and you have to step forward, and you step back. And so before you know, you cha-cha-cha. So you're doing your thing with it, and the magic is actually exploding. And you're exploding. And what happens if somebody played a videotape of that and they saw you exploding, it'll be like, but it's really slow. Sometimes you can't see it move, but when you look back, you're like, oh shit, I did that. And that's when the magic flows.
Dropping bombs. I love it. Marie-Sandrine, we are all here, and there's been so much enthusiasm for today. Looking out at these beautiful faces in front of me that are so like wonderfully like excited to be here and looking for possibilities and creating it with their choices. But every interview, and I've just been watching how enthusiasm truly is and like an element of having your magic. And so I'm curious if you can talk about what you know about enthusiasm and that invites us to our magic.
For me, enthusiasm is like an energy of being alive. So for me, it's what bring this class. When I first did this class with Dane, It's like I activate again this way of being alive and what I am enthusiastic of. Like we can be in a point in our life when we are in a do thing rather than being. And when we make this change and begin to look at what can be add in our life, what we like, what we love, what we as I said, what we dream of, etc., is like our fuel to really begin to be in action. So without enthusiasm, it's like you're waiting for something external of you to be in action. Enthusiasm is really your own dynamic. Is the thing is like the way you be a leader. Like you don't waiting for anyone. You don't look at what it's enthusiasm for other people. You really be present with yourself and go for it when you can perceive this choice can create greater for you and just fun. So enthusiasm is a mix with joy, with fun, with excitement. And I can say everywhere we lost that also in a point that turn off the light of being, is it time now to just turn on?
Just that easy.
Yeah.
Just flip the switch. I like
yeah.
it. Did you have more?
Yes, about just this switch. This switch is like is just a choice. We hear that, and as John and Breast talk about, it's we can do this choice. We have to acknowledge everything is possible if we allow that to be possible. So the only person create thing impossible finally is us. And for me, was the most beautiful gift I get of this class with Dan and this book is to acknowledge that I am the person who creates my life. And in a point we can say, oh, that happens to me. Oh, these people do that, etc. But when we stop this and just acknowledge we have choice, we can create a different life and a different future and different possibilities and fun and enthusiasm, etc.
I love that. Right, marie-sandrine and some other the conversations we've had today have been about like she brought up like a little bit of comparison, and we've talked about competition and how all of that like kills possibility, and also judgment is a great way to kill possibility. I'm wondering if you can share how does being you outside of the comparison, the competition, and all of that activate magic?
Yeah, it's kind of like what we talked about earlier, where it's like the magic is what is, it's just what exists, and that we do all these things, like we judge ourselves in order to try to control ourselves, in order to kill that magic anytime, because magic exists in the space beyond definition. And so when you have a conclusion about something, when you have a judgment about yourself, when you have a judgment about your body, nothing that doesn't match that judgment can show up. It's like you have 5 million different like receptors that you have. And let's just say you have 5 million different receptors for receiving all sorts of different things. And then when you come to a judgment, you limit it to just that one receptor. And then like we all have people in our lives that we talk to, some of us call them family, where they have their one point of view, and no matter what you say to them, no matter how many logical things you say to them, no matter how many crazy things you say to them, they just see the world through that one lens, through that one little pinhole. That's all they're seeing. And that's what we do with our own lives. Every time we come to a judgment about ourselves or what we contribute, what we don't contribute, because it's like we all have these people where it's like you see them walk into a room and the whole energy changes. And it's like, wow, that's amazing. But how often do we go, oh, I just walked into this room. What did I change by walking into this room? For how many of you out there is the next thing you go to, oh, well, probably nothing. Oh, this person's changing more than me. And it's like that kills that possibility for you to be that change that I'm guessing you would really like to be in the world. So what if you could just drop that judgment of you and go, okay, what gift and what contribution am I, and what magic do I have possible here that I may not have acknowledged before?
I love that question. Um, and it question as a tool. So you want to say that question again for me? What gift? Do you remember it?
No. It's out.
I just be the question right now. Okay.
What magic is possible for me to be that I haven't acknowledged, or that I might not have acknowledged? Something like that.
I love it. It's great. John, will you bring it on home for us? And I would just love to hear, what is your favorite being you tool? Like what question do you use to get you back to you? If ever you go into a different headspace, how do you get back to John?
So it goes like this for me. All life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory. And when I think about that, with magic, impossible cannot exist with magic. It's done. It makes everything come to you with ease. Reminding yourself of that 24/7 is the piece that I still work with. But once I realize that there's no such thing as impossible with magic. It just doesn't fucking exist. And anywhere that you're sitting with that bullshit, you're lying to yourself. And so for me, I just wrote that down because I was like, you have to acknowledge that impossible has no space with you. It has no fucking space at all. Magic shows up, impossible runs away. And that is what I live by.
Boom. Well, we're going to end on that note for this chapter. Thank you, all three of you. You are magical, and I am grateful to call you friends.
Thank you, sister.